Welcome to Midlife Matters. I'm Marie, and each week I'm joined by my friends Julie and Mindy to talk about all the topics keeping women in the middle years up at night. Today we're talking about all anyone is talking about, COVID-19 or the coronavirus. How are we doing social distancing? How has the quarantine affected our daily lives? What can we do to create a sense of community while we're having to be so isolated? Join us as we discuss all this and more. Let's get started. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Marie.
Hi, Mindy.
Hey, Marie.
Listeners, today we're going to be talking about the thing that's on everyone's mind, the coronavirus. And I don't think that there was any other topic that we felt like we could even release today because this is just all that anyone is talking about. So hopefully when you're listening to this, this is still somewhat current. Everything changes so quickly. And if this comes out a week from now, everything could be totally different. But we're just going to talk about where we are right now. And I think the biggest thing that we are learning about and doing right now, Mindy and Julie, is social distancing. Two weeks ago, we had never even heard about this phrase, and now it's something that we'll never forget. And it is a new concept and something that really takes some getting used to. The theory behind social distancing is that it's our responsibility to kind of stay away from others in order to protect them and in order to establish that, this is something really serious and we need to not be passing it around. So even within our own families, maybe not our own households, but even our own extended families or, close friend groups, we're really supposed to kind of be distancing each other. How have you guys felt about this new concept?
It's kind of interesting that all of this pandemic has reminded us that it's like human connections that spread disease, but it's also human connectedness that promote wellness. Like we need each other. That's been really hard to stay away and not see people face to face and cancel trips and events and things that would bring you together. We still need that. So that is really hard.
Yeah.
Right. Like having church in our living room, there was something so sweet and precious about it. And at the same time, you really, truly miss the community of being at church together with other believers. But I laugh when I say this. You really learn a lot about yourself and you learn a lot about what's important in your life because some of the people that you're social distancing from other people, but that also means that you're stuck in your house with the same people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some people that you're very close to.
There are some people like you're smelling things you don't usually smell. And I feel like we're learning just a lot about what's important. One of the things that keeps running through my mind is my hair appointment got canceled. And that Cyndi Lauper song, True Colors, keeps running through my mind. Like all the women in the world, I see your true colors shining through. And I think we're just going to see what's been under that hair all these years.
I know. Mindy, my hair appointment was the day after they took all of our kids out of school.
Okay.
And I was so nervous that she was going to call and cancel. She would have heard that our county canceled school because we were the first county in Tennessee to do that. And she wouldn't want me to come over to her county. And I just was crossing my fingers because I had already let my hair go too long. And I really, really wanted to get it done. But she never mentioned it when I showed up. So
and you made sure you were there. I know. Do you know, I got Abby in last week over her spring break, and my appointment is tomorrow.
Oh,
and it is gone. It's all gone.
Oh. Now, who canceled it, Mindy? Did you cancel it or did they?
Okay. We all know Mindy did not cancel that appointment.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, all of the salons have closed.
Okay.
Here.
I didn't even think about that.
Yes.
I just said to Steve today, do you think you should run out and get a haircut while they're still cutting hair? I'm going to actually, when we're done recording, urge that again.
Do you know, my boys are going to be so hacked up their heads because I'm going to have to try to cut their hair. I can see it now. Like,
Oh,
we're going
is a whole
old
new
school.
crisis.
It is the hair. Like, I want to see pictures of what happens to your hair over the next month, people.
Yeah. That's funny because I don't have to worry about the color.
You
My
don't,
true colors
Julie.
are showing. But I haven't had my hair cut in about 7 months.
Yes.
And so I made an appointment for March 28th, and I never even thought that might get canceled. So
no, I wanted to get like 3 inches off my hair. I'm going to end up cutting it myself. I have enough skill. I can put Abby on the back of my head and I'll do the front or something. I'll have to take before and after pictures.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll all be cutting our own hair.
All the home salons.
Ladies, if you're listening and you are thinking, well, maybe now's the time for me to try and go gray, you can actually listen to Julie's story of going gray in episode 21, Aging Gracefully. So, the coronavirus might give us that impetus that we need to just say, hey, I'm doing it.
Going all natural.
There's going to be a lot of gray out there.
All right. Well, we all know about the social distancing, but I think what we're all curious about each other is, what are you doing? Like, I called Julie the other night on like day 1 of maybe day 2 of social distancing. It was like 9:30 and I was like, what are you doing? Because I mean, I can't imagine this for like days and days and days. Honestly, I feel like I could find enough stuff to do, but my kids can't.
Yeah.
So what are you guys doing with your time?
Well, it's funny because I was going to say I've had more actual phone calls, but they've just been from Marie.
Oh, really?
That's hilarious. Oh, my goodness. Marie.
Like, what are you doing? How long can this last?
Yes.
She goes, we're going crazy over here.
Yes.
So I've enjoyed it because Marie doesn't normally call me, but it's like, okay, we can talk.
Funny.
Yes. Mindy, how about you? I mean, have you been desperate? Any desperate straits?
Okay. Well, I know we're going to talk about this later, but I am legitimately a 7 on the Enneagram. And at first, and still kind of, I have such a excitement for like, I'm free. I'm not being ruled by the school calendar right now. And my daughter was already home. So praise the Lord. She was home on spring break when this happened. And so her school decided to extend the break time. And so basically she just stayed home. So I'm like, wow, I get my daughter home, my kids home. So I've been jumping on the trampoline. It was like 65 degrees and sunny the other day, and I thought it was summer. We were out on the back porch, shorts and tank top. I'm sunning, and I'm like, we're going to grill out tonight. So literally, I mean, I've stocked up, but I'm cooking a lot more. I'm enjoying my kids. I haven't broken up any major sibling fights yet, but I'm trying to boys are on the Xbox like all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if you're not fighting, you can play. So then they're playing nicely together.
Well, something's not right if your weather is better than ours.
I know, that's not right. Yeah. Well, Mindy, I'm going to make a comparison to how we keep comparing to ourselves to Italy. So we're about, 10 days ahead of you on no school. Uh-huh. So you'll be me in 10 days.
Oh, you think so?
Yes. All right. Well, what are you guys doing? Julie, what are you doing with your time?
I have found that it's been kind of hard to focus. Like you think, we could just watch Netflix for hours. But I've been kind of antsy. Like I want to keep up on the news. So I watch it. And then I get to the point, I cannot look at this any longer, and then I have to go do something else. So in that regard, I hope things kind of settle down and I can just focus on things more. I am cooking more. I mean, it's a very rare thing that we have eaten at home for the last 5 nights, and I have stuff to cook for the next 2 weeks. That is really rare. And I've found that it's been more fun to cook because there's no pressure. There's no time pressure. I have all this time and everyone's home to eat it. So that's been nice. We've played some games in the evening. I did do some yard work when it was a little bit warmer. And I've deep cleaned. I've done a little organizing, but it's really only the first 3 or 4 days that I've done this. And I think, how much more can I do?
Right.
I saw this really funny thing on someone's Insta story this morning, and it said, when this quarantine is over, I will either have a clean house and my entire life figured out, or have eaten all my food and seen all of the internet by Friday. It could really go either way. And that's really true. Like it's kind of fun and novel at first, but it's like when you think about how long it might go on, then you start to think, I've got to get a project, I've got to have something to do.
Yeah. Yeah, what have I been doing? I mean, I have cooked more. I feel like I haven't really gotten that much done because I feel a bit like an entertainer. When you have three high schoolers at home, I mean, before this, we were out, but they were still going and doing everything. So I was still running the girls around to their practices, and they wanted to meet friends for lunch, and, they wanted to go places. And, my son was still going to work every day. Everything was still going on except for school.
Right.
And now that everybody's home and we can't really go anywhere, they still are wanting to know, like, what can we do? What can we do next? And I understand they're kind of at loose ends. They were depressed to find out that we weren't going to be going back after spring break. This is actually our spring break that we're recording on right now, and they were supposed to go back after this week, and now they just found out they have 2 more weeks after that. So they're looking at 3 weeks, and then they don't even know. So it's a pretty daunting thing for a teenager, I think, to think. It's daunting for us. It's even more daunting for our kids to think of being at loose ends with no work, no routine, no nothing. I mean, you might think they would totally enjoy that, but they don't really.
Right.
Or for a while. Yeah.
Like, we all crave routine. We all crave boundaries, limits. There's freedom in having boundaries and limits, and our kids need it too. And so I'm not the best at setting up. I'm not like that. You're not going to see me put out a schedule of our day. Like, I'm not going to say you can do this from this time to this time and this, and I'm not going to give you a sticker if you accomplish it. I've never been that person. I'm just not that organized.
Right.
Pretty much, if you get on my nerves, you need to change your activity. And if the teacher emails you, you need to do it. Like, I don't know what else to do.
You have to be bored before you can be creative or find something to do. And maybe this will be something good for our kids, that they have to reach that low point of just being so desperately bored that they become a reader, or, that they can learn to entertain themselves.
Totally maybe agree with you.
Be something good that comes out of that.
I've talked to my older two about this quite a bit, but they don't remember a time in their lives where the world was not functioning, free, able to easily move and purchase and travel and navigate. And I feel like, especially for our young adult children and our teenagers, it took the bubble away. It's taking the bubble away, this freedom that they've had. Like, it gives them this social responsibility that they've never had to think about before. It's going to change the way they see the world. It's going to change the way they interact with people. It's going to change what's important to them, what they pursue. And to see that God is still on his throne, the people in your lives still matter, they get even more important.
Our kids have probably never known a time when anything like this has happened. Like, even we don't remember World War II when regular people were having to grow victory gardens in their yard and save their scrap metal or toys. Those are things we hear about and we've kind of romanticized. Like, oh, wouldn't that be cool? And that now we're being asked to do things, and it's a little different, but we tend to think America is immune to things like this. Like, these are the world's problems. So it is very eye-opening. One other thing is, I've been looking for a project, or hoping that I had a project to kind of occupy my time. And I don't know about you, but I've been seeing all these ads on Instagram. Maybe it's just because I follow crafty people, but all of these like punch needle rugs and things, like multiple companies, like I'm just being bombarded. So I got all excited because it looks kind of addicting. Like, you could just sit there and do it.
Yeah.
But then it says, 2 to 4 weeks delivery. Like, I want it now. So, but I think it would be kind of fun to have a project that I could look back on and say, that was my social distancing rug, or my social distancing blanket,
Yeah.
I say, Julie, I'm not getting those ads at all.
So what are you getting, Wendy?
I'm still getting laser hair removal ads.
Now you're going to get even more because you just said it. Your phone heard you.
I know, right? So ironically, our school system has been sending us regular updates, and one of them just really made me laugh. And so you've asked, like, what have we been doing with our time? Well, I was reading this one email, and it's giving these enrichment activities suggestions. None of it is mandatory yet, But then it gives suggestions like have the older children work with the younger children. And I'm like, we're back at the Little House on the Prairie. I feel like I have a one-room schoolhouse.
Yes. I did order some ACT prep books for my girls because I thought, well, if they're going to be home for a month, they can at least work on preparing for the ACT. So that's probably the most productive thing that I've done and hopefully will continue to do over the next month is just be enforcing that. But yeah, I mean, I did finish one photo album. So
okay. Well, Marie, you and I have been like dumped into the world of homeschooling, and we've talked about homeschooling before, and here we are.
And how ironic. I'm out of it. Yeah.
I know, Julie, she graduated. Marie and I haven't graduated yet.
No. Well, are you guys finding yourself anxious or worried at all about the future?
I mean, I feel like I am a little more anxious just because I worry about my mom, who is more susceptible because of her age. And then I'm concerned about people that aren't able to work. That makes me sad because that's directly affecting someone in my family, who's just not as prepared as somebody later along in life to weather an economic storm like this. So, yeah, that concerns me. But I also know that, God is bigger than all of these circumstances and that my hope and trust has to lie in him and not the CDC, the government, those are all good and necessary, but they're not the answer,
Right. I know several friends that their income is directly related to working with the public and they can't do that right now. And so I'm just concerned, for friends and family that cannot have an income during this time. But then also one of the sad parts of the school email that I mentioned was that there are children that go to school to eat. It was mentioned in the email that they're trying to find a way to give the food from the schools to our local food pantries because that's where children are able to have breakfast and lunch every day. And so the school is trying to make sure that those children are still provided for. It hurts your heart. You don't think that where you live and that in your area, in your county, that children go to school to be able to get a meal. And so there are just ramifications of it that I haven't thought about, until it's brought to light, do I realize. So I think that it's mainly for those things. As for my particular family and my home, like I feel like it's just day to day. And of course, as moms, I think we're shouldering just the anxieties and worries of our children, probably more than anyone, the things that they're concerned about because their world has been a little bit rocked. So I think those conversations are more the things that I'm tackling, not so much my own fears or anxieties. I don't know. How about you, Marie?
Well, yeah, I don't know that I feel anxious about the long-term future, but I do feel anxious about the short-term future. I am concerned that so many businesses shutting down. I don't know how we can't look around and feel fearful for them. You can't just take a hit like that in business and not have it affect you. Small or large, but especially the small ones, all the restaurants and different things that people aren't able to go to. I feel anxious maybe just about my own children's education. Mindy, you said that your school system has been really proactive in jumping on getting an online learning program. We've been out for 10 days now and we have no plan. And that is extremely concerning to me with 3 high schoolers in the house that we don't have any communication from our school system saying, these are our options for online learning, or we understand these specific concerns and we're going to address them. Like if the rest of the country is going on with online learning and people in my school district aren't, well, then we're not going to be able to take the AP test. We're not going to be able to take the ACT like everybody else. Like we're not going to be able to keep up with the other people. And that's concerning when you have 2 sophomores and a junior. So yeah, I mean, those kinds of things. My son and new daughter-in-law, their graduations are canceled from college and they lost their jobs that they used to pay their rent because they worked in the library and now the library shut down. So there's just a lot of things that affect people that cause you, maybe this isn't going to matter in 5 years, but it certainly matters to people right now.
Right now.
It does.
So I don't know if I'm, staying up at night about it, but it does give me an overall general feeling of anxiousness.
Right.
Yeah. It's definitely on our minds.
Yeah. So I don't know, and then I'm supposed to have a new granddaughter tomorrow as we're recording this. And I just found out while we were recording, we actually had to take a break because I was so disappointed that I'm not allowed to go to the hospital. The hospital closed to visitors while we were recording. So only my daughter's husband can be there, and that's it. And is that a long-term worry? No, but it's a real disappointment that we can't go and see our first grandchild in the hospital. You picture yourself walking through the door with flowers and excitement, and that's not there. And so I think there's just a lot of experiences that people are missing out on that cause them to generally feel like, well, how much longer will this have to go on?
Yeah. I think about if you had planned a wedding, like something that just cannot be moved and expensive and, and is a once in a lifetime thing. That's just kind of sad. That's unfortunate.
Right.
Yeah. My daughter told me that one of her best friends from college is getting married next weekend because she doesn't dare count on her June wedding. So she'll get married with just friends and family. And then if they can have it in June, they can, but they don't want to wait and find out that they couldn't have even had it. Like there's a lot of decisions that people are having to make that, are altering what they had thought would be an exciting, joyful time.
Mm-hmm. I feel like there's been surprisingly I'm curious what's going to come out of this time because ironically, I hadn't been on Facebook like all day yesterday. And then I got on for like 5 minutes last night at the end of the day. And the first two things I saw were 2 engagement announcements. Oh. And I was like, well, okay, that's surprising. I wasn't expecting that at all. And I thought, wow, Lord, like you're really going to do some blessing during this time is how I felt. And I was like, praise the Lord. I really hope that we see, we have eyes to see the good that can be seen in these very trying times.
And they'll have interesting stories to tell.
Yes, they
when
will.
they look back,
Well, apparently, it's going around the internet that there will be a new baby boom from the coronavirus. So,
did you hear what they were going to be called?
The quarantines or something?
Well, and I heard the coronials.
Oh, okay.
I think the teenagers 14 years later would be called
the quarantines. Yeah, that's right.
Funny. Well, it is ironic because I do have a senior that's also graduating this year. And somebody posted this and I was like, this is so accurate. But we found out we were pregnant with Grant right after 9/11 happened. Like all the babies that are graduating here were conceived. Right during the 9/11 timeframe, and now they're graduating with a pandemic.
Oh, that's really ironic.
Like you have to laugh so you don't cry.
Yeah. Aww. Well, speaking of laughter, we can kind of look at the coronavirus a little bit from the perspective of the Enneagram. And yesterday I had to take a big, how big can you really grocery shop now? But I had this Walmart order building all weekend. And I thought that I was being so proactive and I was just going to pull up to the store and they were going to come out and load my groceries. And that wasn't the way it was at all because it got canceled overnight. And I woke up to nothing. So I was like, oh my goodness, I've got to go out now to the stores. It was like 7 a.m. And so I came home and I wrote this on our Instagram. If you don't follow us at Midlife Matters Podcast. But I said the mental gymnastics of an Enneagram 1 at the grocery store. I was thinking the whole time, like, should I buy this? Is someone else going to come along behind me and need it more? What's the right thing to do? And then I'm thinking, did I wipe the cart adequately? Oh no, I touched my face. And then you guys, I happened upon the aisle when they were unloading the toilet paper. And I thought, should I buy some or not? Like, did God direct me to this toilet paper aisle and he's providing? Or should I be leaving this toilet paper for someone else? This is my third store. You couldn't find it anywhere. And then I happened to be in the aisle when they're unboxing it. How could I not buy?
That's right. Please tell me you got some.
I did. And then I went to get eggs. This was a third store I had been in to try and get eggs. And it said a 3 dozen limit. And I'm like, yes, as an Enneagram 1, I can get behind that. Just tell me, how many am I allowed? And yes, it's okay to buy these.
Give me a rule to follow.
Yes. So it's so hard because as you're at the grocery store, you just don't know what to do.
Right.
But how do you guys feel like you're reacting?
Well, whenever I see toilet paper, I'm like, well, I have to buy it. And so I do buy it when I see toilet paper. And I just am like, I'm going to help the neighbors. If somebody needs it, I'll be ready to hand it out. That's kind of my mindset.
That was kind of what I thought. I thought, I'm not really like out of toilet paper, but I have a feeling there'll be family or immediate circle that don't have it. And this way, when they ask, I have it.
Right. Julie, do you buy the toilet paper?
Well, I was at the Walmart neighborhood store yesterday and they were unloading the toilet paper, but I didn't get any because I don't know. I'm not a stockpiler by nature. So I just couldn't buy it because John had stopped and gotten some the other night.
Right.
So I was like, I don't have any place to put that. I don't want that. So I'll be coming to you, Marie.
Oh, that's
well. Just last week, you had put on Facebook that you were desperate for toilet paper. So,
but then John did find some. So, and then I saw that they were unloading it. I thought, if I get there in the morning, they said there's no shortage of toilet paper production.
Right.
So you can get it. It's just you got to be there at the right time. So
right.
I feel like I'm constantly preparing for a party. Like that is in my mind. And every time I buy food, I'm like, oh, this is going to be so fun to put with this and this and this. And I'm like, I'm so excited. I've written out a menu. I've actually organized my food because I have like so much food right now. I want to make sure I
did that too.
Adequately ration it, that we don't eat it all the first 2 days.
Yeah. It's weird, the things that I could find on the shelves. You can't hardly find any meat. And yet I was able to find strawberries on sale.
Yeah.
And plenty of them.
Right.
It was so weird, the things that you could find.
Yeah, don't be trying to buy beans because they're not out there.
Oh, right. I did get beans last week.
Well, I got baked beans, but there's no chili beans.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy.
My thoughts in the grocery store were more like, get me out of here. I just want to go back home and pretend this isn't happening. Maybe if I go back home, go to bed, I'll wake up to find this is all just a nightmare.
Oh, gosh.
And it's not really happening. I'm just generally reluctant or hesitant to jump on any bandwagon. Like I have to understand it first.
Right.
And I've just been a little slow trusting the media, and we don't even have to get into that, but I've been slow on that. So understanding gets me involved.
Well,
I'm getting there.
Literally at the grocery store this morning, and I bet everyone can testify to this. I literally swallowed my own spit wrong and coughed. I mean, like it was my own, like I swallowed my saliva wrong. I coughed like twice. And then I feel like I'm like a major jerk. I'm like, everyone's looking at me like they all scoop back like 10 feet. Like, I promise I'm not sick. Okay, I promise.
That's what they all say.
I'm here preparing for a party. Okay, that's what all this food is for.
Well, we had my daughter and her husband and then my son and his wife over last night. So there were 9 of us for dinner. And I had gone shopping that morning. It's hard to get enough food for 9 people. And then they ate every single little scrap of it. And I thought, man, if I was having to prepare food for 9 people every day of this quarantine, I'd go insane.
Right. Well, and we have the beauty of being able to go to multiple stores, each of us do. So I just think, there's some people that don't have access like we have access.
Right. That's true. We just got done with making goals for January, kind of at the beginning of the year. How do you think this coronavirus is going to affect how you view the rest of the year or what you do?
Well, I thought it was interesting because I looked back because I had written them down. And because that was one of my goals was to write things down.
Yeah.
One of them was to get rid of one negative belief. The negative belief is this is too hard. And I thought, how perfect for such a time as this.
Sure.
That I can do this. I can make the best of this. That was one of them. I did have a lot of skills I wanted to learn. So hopefully, eventually I could focus on those. But one of the biggest things that I was excited about this year involved travel. So I'm not really sure how that's going to work out, but I'm still working on it because I'm thinking I could use this downtime to get it up and ready for whenever. It's not like it has to be this year to work. It could be, I know all this is temporary. So I'm continuing on with it, but it's a little disappointing that would be affected, but that's minor in the grand scheme of things.
Right. We had planned a trip with the girls to go to London and Paris, our first time ever to do something like that. I don't know it, but I feel like it may get canceled. It was only about 8 weeks away and with everything that's going on. So that's disappointing. It's disappointing for them that that's even a possibility that it'll be canceled. And
Right.
I just don't know. You just don't know what it's going to look like. On different things I was going to learn, I said I was going to learn that iron skillet, and I've been home a lot to cook, so I have been using it.
You have or haven't?
I have been using it, so I am learning my iron skillet.
I'm genuinely trying to remember, did I say I wanted to slow down? Because if I did, that's exactly what has happened.
I know I said I wanted to work on my photos, and I did finish one photo album, so that's something I could. I'm only 2 years behind now, so
I think you can finish.
Yeah. Well, how do you think we can instill a sense of community now when we can't be together with people, but we know that it's not good to be alone? Like, are there some creative ways that you guys have seen in your community that people are kind of getting away, maybe getting together online?
Well, I know our college group can't meet. They've chosen not to meet now, and they normally meet at our house. But tonight they're going to do a Google Hangout so they can all be online together, and they may just hang out and chat and pray, but they may actually decide to do an ongoing study that way.
Oh,
okay. if it works out. I have heard of some online book clubs.
Oh, right. Well, we're supposed to meet this week, or not this week, but this month. So maybe we'll have to do that, Julie.
Yeah. And maybe we could do it through the Google Hangout. But that would be kind of fun to try.
It would be. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
It's just good to see other people's faces, not just hearing their voice.
It's true. Because even talking to you guys, on our podcast, I love that I can see your faces when we talk. It feels like I've actually had human interaction.
Yeah.
But like a couple of fun things. So our Y closed last week. I did post a fun video of our Zumba class actually met outside at a park. And it was so fun. They literally said like no high-fiving, no hugging. If you want to donate any money, it went to like a local food bank. But the Zumba instructors did it for free. And we met out in the park. It was so fun.
Oh, that's really fun.
All of my neighbors are outside. We will walk the neighborhood a lot, and everyone's trying to do the same thing. And like all the kids are out. So I feel like we're going to see our neighbors like never before because we're all stuck at home.
Yeah, I have seen a lot more people out walking.
I just saw a neighbor before we started recording, and we talked from opposite sides of the street because nobody wants to be the first one to come across, although I would have been fine if she would have come across. But I didn't dare assume that she would have been fine. So I just said,
that's how I feel, Marie. I'm like, I'm fine, but I don't know if you're fine. So,
right. Probably even FaceTiming more. I really don't love the FaceTime feature, but I'm willing to use it more when I don't get to see anybody. If that's the only way I can see you, then I guess I'll use FaceTime. I know that our life group at church is trying to set up a way to meet over Zoom this Sunday. So I think people might start exploring some of those technologies a little more. So who knows what everything will look like in a week when this airs, but this is how we're feeling as of Tuesday, March 17th, as of St. Patrick's Day, which it doesn't even really feel like St. Patrick's Day because our kids haven't gone to school, so there's nothing, usually the school I feel like initiates the holidays, those kind of holidays.
My husband's going to work this morning and he's wearing a suit and he has a St. Patrick's Day green necklace on with clovers on it. And I'm like, what in the world? But Bryce said, he was like, in times like these, it's nice to keep some things a little bit normal. And I was like, I appreciate that. I appreciate that he wore his St. Patrick's Day necklace over his suit.
Yeah, for sure. All right, you guys, let's move into I'm a Fan. Julie, what are you a fan of?
Okay, I'm a fan of a photo book app. It came across my Instagram as an ad, and of course, I had to look at it. And it says, print your memories without the effort. So you download the app. It has access to all the photos on your phone, which all my photos are on my phone. It's just very easy because you can select the photos you want in the book and it will put them there for you. But and I don't usually like that, but they're very easy to change around. You can change the templates, each page, how many you want on the page, the layout of that page. You can do captions. There's all the different colors for the pages, hardback, softback. So I've already made 2 books. I mean, I probably made this book in an hour.
Ooh.
It was so easy. And they run about the same price. I think the basic book is 20 pages and I had more pages. So I think my books were around 30.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's good.
So I'll get them and I'll let everybody know how they are, but they look like they're the same. They're going to be the same as all my other books. So I was excited that it was just so easy.
Yeah. And what's that called again?
POPSA, POPSA. It's very strange.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll put a link to that in our show notes. POPSA. I'm definitely going to have the time to check that out. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's see. Mindy, what are you a fan of this week?
I am actually a huge fan of music. And I say that because it's even since we've been home and social distancing, I've noticed that it has meant so much more to each of my family members in a different way. So first of all, worship music, Christian music, when I have like K-Love radio on, it's amazing how every song seems to speak to something that's going on right now. And it's like, wow, are they cueing all of the songs about fear? Like, are they cueing all of the songs about God being in control? And it's like, no, that's just what the message of the Bible is. And so it's just really a great reminder when you sing the songs and you hear the lyrics, especially the worship songs that are written after specific scriptures in the Bible, that it puts those words in your mind and you can meditate on those. And it really helps dissipate anxiety and fear. So I love to start our day. I don't turn the news on in our house. I used to sometimes love to watch like the Today Show in the morning or something like that. And I just don't like to start the day like that. So I turn my Christian radio on, and that's how our house is filled. Those are the words I want to fill the house right now. And once we've worshiped, then I go to my dance music in the afternoon.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good. That's really good. I'm a fan of a podcast this week. I think we mentioned it before. Julie, I think you've mentioned the podcast Gospel in Life with Tim Keller. But I think he has such good sermons. And I know that with all of my anxiousness around this time, sometimes I need to just put some truth into my mind. That's a great one to look up, Gospel in Life with Tim Keller. If you are feeling like, now that church has been canceled pretty much everywhere, and you're just feeling like, what, I could use a little encouragement and just good teaching, that's a great one to pick up.
Amen. He is one of my favorites. Thank you for mentioning that, Marie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like no matter what the topic, you leave encouraged. Like he has a way of turning it into some form of encouragement.
Yes.
Very much so. Well, ladies, it's been good to see some real live faces, even if it was over Skype.
That's right.
And to interact. And we would love to know what listeners are doing during this time of social distancing. If you want to put a picture of what you're doing and tag us at Midlife Matters Podcast on Instagram, or you want to send us a message or an email, we would love to know what you guys are doing. If you want to get any show notes, you can sign up for our emails. Just put show notes in the subject line and email it to midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com. And we'd love to hear from you. All right, Julie and Mindy, who knows where we'll be next week or what we'll be doing when we record, but it's always fun.
It's a pleasure. Love
it's good to see you
girls.
both.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
We're so happy you joined us today. If you'd like to get the show notes for today's episode, please email your name and address to midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com and write show notes in the subject line. Also, please tell a friend about the show and help them hit the free subscribe button on their favorite podcast app. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. That's where we post pictures and stories about all the things we talk about in each episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.